Hello, good afternoon. So now it's 5 minutes past 3 or 5 minutes past 4, depending on the time zone. So we are starting the table. This table is for smart media or media. That's one of the 12 tables, 12 thematic tables under the European Regions for Smart Communities Summit. So the Summit of the European Smart Communities. We are on a Zoom meeting for the session. There is online broadcasting on the specific channel. There is also online broadcasting on YouTube and a hashtag for questions on Twitter. So this afternoon we have a wonderful panel, a keynote speaker, two more speakers. That's also the opportunity to debate the topic and to share it, to share ideas and to share the topic as one of the components for the proceedings of the event. So for debate or the debate that will be translated to the memorandum. That's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce our first speaker, Eunice Ribeiro. It's a long time friend, and she's one of the prominent. She used to be, now it's no more in Portugal, but she used to be one of our prominent members of the ecosystem, I would say, for smart communities, smart cities, digital agendas. And now everywhere in Europe, we face the overwhelming almost challenge of the digital decade. Digital decade is part of the European decade, I would say, because there are so many agendas that we have to achieve, no other option than achieving those agendas, succeeding those agendas. So that's really the European decade. As part of it, we have smart communities as an instrument to succeed on the digital decade objectives. And smart communities need better media, better business models for media, better capabilities for everybody to access, use, and interact with digital. One of the key points that is under discussion during the summit is the idea of digital prosumer. So that possibility of engaging with the digital in a fully way, in making everyone to be a consumer at the same time a producer of digital contents, of data, of digital services, of digital innovation. And there are no digital prosumers if we don't have better media. There are quite a lot of examples of how media now are still limited comparing to the possibilities we could achieve if innovation would be also on this base as others. I know that Eunice is one of those front runners for innovation in this sector and her responsibilities. And I think, Eunice, that I have to ask you to a little bit introduce yourself and your responsibilities now. But I have to say, of course, that's wonderful to have you here, and it's really a pleasure and very much an honor for the event, for the Portuguese presidency, for the region of Alentejo, for our oral project, to have you as a speaker. So please, Eunice, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Marcos. Thank you for your kind introduction and quite broad in the special time that we are living right now, a time when
I think that's Eunice. I think that your micro is muted, or we couldn't.
No, you cannot hear me because I see my micro, the green part, moving.
Actually, I can hear you very well.
Okay. So maybe, Marcos, your listening sound system might have a problem. I don't know, because I see usually my reference is the microphone, the green part that goes up and down.
It's not working.
Oh, it's a pity. I was thanking you for your kind words.
Checking on the room control panel, your micro is open from our side, so.
But we are listening, Marcos. I was listening, Eunice, really well.
Thank you, Monica. Well, you have to excuse us sometimes.
Please,
These
this is
technical
media table
problems.
and we are having media problems.
Okay.
Eunice,
All
do you
part
have
of
an
the-
alternative for your micro?
But my micro is working, right? Yeah. He doesn't hear anyone. He didn't hear
Yes.
Monica.
I believe he's not hearing anyone.
Yeah. Well, it's a pity because well, can you hear now, Marcos? Can you hear me? Maybe yes, but he's muted, so maybe I can start.
Yes, I was just calling him saying that.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, but you can start, Eunice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Monica. Well, it's a pity that Marcos cannot hear us because
So tell him, or you can see in the
I
recorded video.
okay, because I have to publicly thank him for the kind words that he brings here. We know each other for a very long time. We worked closely together, and it's a pleasure for me to be here, to be invited to be in this event. And thank you so much for the daring initiative to bring together European leaders for the smart communities. It's a great challenge that I believe you are putting it out very well. And thank you for inviting me. So I'm going to share my screen, if you don't mind, to share a presentation just to support my words with images to illustrate the message I would like to bring to you. So I'm Eunice Ribeiro. As Marcos has mentioned, I've been for a very long time working on the information and communication technologies in the digital agendas related to Europe. I'm Portuguese. I'm from Portugal, but right now I'm very happy working in Barcelona, and I'm working in a research center named I2CAT, which means Internet to Catalonia. And I'm the director of the CR&I Policy and Strategy Department. So it's a department focused on aligning I2CAT strategy with European policies and agendas that are brought by the European Commission for the research and innovation. And I2CAT is a research center focusing on advanced research technologies, okay? So for this reason, since it is in our core, I bring a presentation to you entitled Digital Connected and Interactive Technologies for Media. And in this presentation, I will show you what has been our strategy in terms of interactive technologies for media, and also how we make them connected. What are the technologies that we've been working with? And it's very interesting because to tell you a bit, I don't need to explain any of you now in 2021 the need of the digital technologies and how much they are embedded in our world. It's funny because if I tell you a bit about my story, so I was a national contact point for the Horizon 2020 program in Portugal for some years, and I remember in my presentations I was always trying to justify what's the benefit of the ICT, of the digital world, to the world where we live right now, what's going to happen in the future. And what we faced in the latest years is that digital technologies have revolutionized our lives, and we are almost dependent on them. So our economical world, our economic activities were able to move on during the current pandemic because the digital technologies were there for us, and they can be better and they can be more available for us, and we need to do better with them as well. So there are several activities from the economics, but also from our personal lives, that benefit a lot from the digital technologies. And this is a work and an investment that we need to keep doing, and we need to keep doing in several ways. And in I2CAT in particular, we focus on some particular advanced technologies that some of them are not so mature. So we have teams working on 5G, the latest mobile, the latest generation of mobile communications, and also Internet of Things. So the connectivity that interlinks objects into the internet, also cybersecurity. So when we talk about connectivity, we are aware that this brings vulnerability to our systems, to our activities that we want to perform with the digital technology. So cybersecurity is a must, even from the design point of view of the systems that we need to put. So when we address MIDA, cybersecurity is always a must, among other aspects that we need to address, like trustworthiness and even privacy, or motivating people to actually use them in a proper way. Another technology that we focus on is distributed artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, when we have the means to communicate and to exchange data, we need analytics, we need intelligence to capture the best out of it, to make these to reflect these into means that we can use with an advantage for the sectors we are addressing. And also blockchain, also here with a role for the trustworthiness of the exchange of data and realizing smart contracts in different business perspectives. And of course, at I2CAT, we also have a research team focusing on media internet, but media internet more from a perspective of the technologies that we can use, focused on immersive technologies, the extended reality, the augmented reality, the virtual reality. And we have a few projects I would like to share with you about this. And we are living an interesting moment right now, because once we suffered, unfortunately, the damage in our economy and in our lives caused by the current pandemic, the COVID situation, we are all trying to live on into a new normal. At the same time, new drivers appeared for us to move on with our research and innovation with technologies, and this affects all sectors. Marcus was mentioning the digital agenda that we need to fulfill, the digital decade. And these are the KPIs, the key performance, I would say the compass we need to use in order to improve the way we are developing and enriching technology, and at the same time applying it. Because I would say these key performance indicators, these specific outcomes that the Commission has put are really necessary for us to evolve into an advanced society as we want. But we need to do this having in mind several policies like the twin, green, and digital transition. So it doesn't make sense if we are improving on the digital and we are not improving on the sustainability, on the resilience, and on the climate contribution that we bring to our planet. It doesn't make sense if we don't do this in a human-centered way, thinking about humanity, thinking about the ethical development that we need to put in our technologies, how this will affect regulation, what regulation we need to put in place for the developments of this technology, what user behaviors could be motivated by the application of technologies, and most of all, security, privacy, creating trust for the applications that we need to ensure. Otherwise, we are creating technologies, we are pushing for applications that no one will use. So this is something that we need to take care of. And all the technologies I've been mentioning, they are enablers. And we need to make sure that the value chains that cover them are part of Europe, are centralized in our ecosystem. Otherwise, we risk to lose part of it, to not be able to secure our independence and our autonomy, our strategic economy. So when we talk about an open strategic autonomy of Europe and sovereignty, we are talking about this capability of producing in Europe and securing the value chains that we need in terms of technological development to ensure our economy. So at I2CAT, we have all these guidelines, all these drivers in the way we perform technology, in the way we guide our research and innovation activities. We do this by collaborating with other entities, both from the private and the public sector. This is very important for us. We have ideas, we study technological challenges, which we reflect into research and development projects to create knowledge that we aim to transfer to industry and also to the public administration. We aim to tackle societal challenges that our society is facing right now, but also the coming ones that we foresee for the future. And to do this, I would like to give just one example of one of the activities that we have. One of those is the 5G Barcelona. So it's an initiative from the government of Catalonia and the city of Barcelona, coordinated by the Mobile World Congress, by the Mobile World Capital, sorry. And yeah, of course, I think you've heard all about the Mobile World Congress, which is an event that takes place in Barcelona and addresses the most recent advances in terms of communications and connectivity. So it's natural that in Barcelona, we wanted to create this living lab, this city lab of the next generation of mobile communications, which is going to make a revolution in the sectors, in the verticals, as they call it, in the way they are operationalizing and in the way they are bringing their outcomes, and it's disruptive in a way that we need to test in advance in order to understand what the outcomes are and how we can implement them and take the most advantage out of it. And also in an ecosystem of partners where different competences are brought in, and we need to make sure that they are used properly. So for example, in this map, you see 5G City, the 5G City Lab, the 5G City plus Flame. So Flame was one of the infrastructures that we used in a project funded by the European Commission to test different applications of media using the 5G mobile communications, that the infrastructure that we have deployed in the city of Barcelona. And we tested different use cases of these media applications with SMEs coming from all over Europe, just to assess different applications related to augmented reality, related to journalists that were creating videos, and they would come out with applications that would select only the videos that had a high quality, all in order to come out with added value for the user using 5G technologies, but not only, also artificial intelligence and other means to make sure that you integrate it in a proper way and you test it in advance. Before this was done, before this kind of technologies are actually deployed in a large scale. I mean, we are on the moment where the 5G deployment is being decided and is being mapped. So you have here several examples of labs that exist in Barcelona, and we are addressing different verticals like mobility, like urban environment, and this is very important. When you think about this approach of smart communities, what is the ecosystem that you need to put in place, and what are the actors that you're going to influence and you're going to make it happen. So to give you an example of what in concrete our media internet team is doing in ITOCAT, so we are working in immersive technologies. So this is an example. With immersive technologies, we can put an avatar of ourselves in a different place and we can collaborate through that avatar. So we can feel like we are there, but we are not. So we put these special glasses, and well, I've tried the one that you see on my right, so the one related with the museum. So I actually did this visit with the museum with the glasses, so I could be the avatar that you see here, and it's actually impressive because you feel really like you are there. You walk, you see the interaction with the building. You can I mean, we don't have yet the technology to touch them, but who knows? Maybe in a future, in a near future. Actually, this is something that we have thought before how to do it, and it is possible. But this is something we are studying, and making these virtual realities actually a reality very close to us, and the possible applications that we can make is something that we are assessing every day. And you see here, it's not that far. So I wanted to present to you the laboratory that we have where we are testing this technology. So it's located in Vila Nova. We call it our XR lab from extended reality. And we have this lab open through many European projects for doing research and to experiment different use cases. Thus, different use cases related to tourism, related to also how people can actually make value out of this, how people can go to other places staying in Vila Nova, which is a very small city located in Catalonia. And we are in this lab, we are coordinating it with Neapolis. And well, and another thing I wanted to show you is a specific project that we've been developing, which in my opinion will change the way, could change the way that we are actually addressing our devices. So here, this is the Immersia TV, a project that i2CAT did, where we intended to revolutionize the way we are experiencing content. So the idea of this project was to put up digital media content, like for example a documentary. One of the documentaries we have was actually recorded in Portugal. It addresses the life of a young athlete playing in Football Clube do Porto, so in the Dragon Force school, and it's a really nice documentary. I will put the YouTube video for you to see the making up and to see how these kind of videos are done, because the idea was to give the user the opportunity to interact with this kind of media content. So with this documentary, you're able to see extra content in your devices, and you're able to see also the 3D dimension. So in a way, you feel part of it. You feel part of the life of this athlete from the Football Clube do Porto. Well, it happens that i2CAT was also, it's just a coincidence. It's not because I'm Portuguese. This happened actually before I joined i2CAT. So it's very interesting. And I would invite you to understand the interaction between these different devices and how it is and how complex, because there is a whole value chain of components that you need to address, from the way you capture the image, from the kind of cameras that you are using for that purpose, from the processing, from the network quality that you need to have in place. And imagine when you make it real time, you really need the 5G technologies to make it real. So it's very interesting how the world will advance in the coming years, because I believe this will be very fast, and we all want to make part of it. But making part of it using the drivers I explained in the beginning, with security, with privacy, with trustworthiness for us as consumers. So this is very important. And the media technologies, when we present them like this, they are not only drivers for the media sector, so for the sector of the news or for sectors more related with distributing content. They are also disruptive in other sectors. So these are some of the projects where we are applying this technology to bring solutions for first responders, for firefighters. So this is a big issue in Spain, but also in Portugal, in the southern European countries, where the fires continue to be a crisis, a serious issue to be tackled every summer due to the high temperatures and the great forests that these countries have. And in order to support the firefighters, these kind of technologies are extremely useful. So this is a great use of these technologies for the smart communities. In IoT Engine, we are applying these technologies to the Industry 4.0 sector in order to come out with safety applications inside manufacturing environments. So the factories of the future, the factories of today already have automated machines, so robots. They call them AGVs that move around through the factory and do small, transitions of equipment or devices. And what we are doing in IoT Engine is to study how these AGVs can actually move in a safe way, that they don't harm the safety of the workers, that they stop in time, that the latency of the communications is enough for this kind of behavior from the machines. And at the same time, we are studying how interactive technologies could actually move on with use cases in manufacturing environments. So how you can use these kind of immersive technologies to deploy, for example, trainings for your manufacturers without actually being in the factory, but at the same time having this experience and understanding the context where they will work and the job that they have to do. So this could be applied also to medicine, doing a surgery without actually performing, or performing a surgery over distance. So these are concepts more related with the tactile internet, where you are moving something very close to you, but in reality you're moving something on the other side. So these are use cases that the 5G technology or future studies in 6G, who never knows, which is now in terms of research roadmap in definition, could be brought. And finally, in VR Together, so this was one of the projects that we have coordinated. So in this project, we were studying the collaborative telepresence. So what you see here is some of my colleagues and colleagues that participated in this project. It was funded by the European Commission under the Horizon 2020 program, like the other two I have mentioned. And actually, what you see in the picture are not my colleagues, it's their avatars. So they are all together seeing themselves in a room, but in reality, they are not there. They are out. And we even did this training. I remember that we did even, I'm not sure if it was in VR Together, but in one of the projects, actually it was in VR Together. I think we did this demonstration in different cities. So I believe it was Barcelona and Valencia, but I don't want to say something wrong. But it's very interesting how the capabilities of these technologies and what they can bring to us in a very, very near future, I hope. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope it has been insightful to you about the work we are doing, about the future we want to build, and the drivers we want to put in place for something that it's very special for us, Europe, all of us, not only as workers, but as citizens that can make this a reality, express our best with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eunice. It was amazing, and it's really nice to see how the future is so near, so many great things that are already happening. And thank you for your always great enthusiasm presenting these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Next, we'll hear the Dean Miguel Varela from ESG. ESG is one of the most dynamic schools, business schools in Lisbon. I'm not seeing him here. Sorry. I'm not seeing him in the list. No. But Marcus is still having some technical problems, and I'm not sure, because we had Miguel Varela and Vitor Pereira, but I'm not seeing here too, but I'm not sure if we... Valentina, can you support me?
Yes, Monica, you are right. According to the agenda, these are the two speakers, and I also cannot see them here.
But they were, but I'm not sure if they had also some technical problem. Sorry about this.
I don't know.
Maybe if someone has some questions for Eunice, and we can discuss a little bit the things that we saw with Eunice, and I will try to reach some of the speakers or our technical support to see what we can do. I don't know if someone has any question.
Well, if you allow me, I will make one. First of all, thank you so much for this inspiring presentation. And my question is about the citizen engagement. How we can engage the citizen within the smart ecosystem you are already present to us.
Thank you, Valentina. It's an amazing question you are putting me, because actually, as it was a 20-minute presentation, and I'm as you see, I'm very talkative, so I decided not to put all the initiatives that we as i2CAT are doing. And I'm sorry for focusing so much on what we as i2CAT are doing, but some of our projects are really amazing. So I'm going to talk about another one I didn't mention through my presentation, and it's very related with what you are saying. So one of the ways we engage citizens to be I think Marcus has said the word prosumers, right? Because for me, prosumers is a word more related with the energy efficiency, you know, with the demand being able to produce energy. Because my technical background is on energy. It happens that over time I was drawn into the ICT technologies, but it's very true that the biggest fraction of our population to be a prosumer are those that are now consuming the digital technologies, because they are understanding how empowered they can be through them to produce innovation. And one of the projects that i2CAT has, and it's a regional project, it's something that the government of Catalonia is funding, is to create a network of collaboratories. It was not coming out naturally. But basically this for some reason this word doesn't come out. But it's for me, it's like different living labs spread all over the region, where we have the chance to put in place citizens and ICT specialists that help the citizens to actually create technologies. So this is another project that we have, the collaboratories. Maybe I could say it. And it's very interesting to see. It's managed by social people from the social scientist area. So it's my colleagues Artur Serra and Jordi Colobrans. They are both techno-anthropologists, and their work is actually to understand how the society is influenced by these technologies, but at the same time how the society becomes a creator. Because the good thing about the digital technologies is that everyone can actually produce content, not only media, but actually bring something valuable for the citizens that face similar problem situations. I mean, in terms of society, we already see this with some movements, but imagine how the world can be if internet is actually something that, because nowadays we know that the media literacy is not yet in levels that we would like to see. We've been able to put people in a way that they can read and they can absorb knowledge through this way. But imagine if we increase greatly the media literacy of people, where they can use the media technologies, the internet, for them to be great producers and use it professionally and bring content to other users. You know, we will have like an explosion of niches of market. And these are some of the aspects that my colleagues with the Collaboratories project are actually studying and implementing in the city of Catalonia, following the quadruplex. I'm having a difficult time to say difficult words, so please, this is live, so please forgive me. And it's really interesting to see this happening and to actually create the foundations that will allow citizens to do more with digital technologies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valentina.
Well, thank you, Anis. I don't know if some of the other people present here have any more questions. We are trying to reach the other speakers because they were confirmed and they didn't ask support. So I don't know if something went wrong. But I don't know, maybe if we have any more question, or if not, we'll have to leave the session by now.
Hello. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Oh, finally. Sorry. Eunice, so we are very lucky because your presentation is record and it will be live forever.
Thank
All
you.
the contents for the summit are
Thank you
public
very
and
much.
live. So I will be able to see it in another occasion because now I spent all the time restarting again and again. My computer finally is working. So let me just announce the result of this summit. We are going to have a common memorandum. It's something that is happening online during real time during the event. In this table, we have Valentina and Patricia Gomes da Silva from CCDR, Director of Inspection and indeed the lead person for our project implementation in CCDR. And we have Valentina Russo. Valentina is a colleague of mine in Brussels. And they are taking notes, so they will take notes from your presentation, that so we can have it, or some of your points reflected on the memorandum. And that memorandum will be made available online Friday and will be open for comments, amendments, remarks, changing, improvements, adjustments for the next months, and then it will become a document we hope will be shared by several regions, at least the regions present and the communities present. So that's why this configuration of the 12 tables, because we have the 12 topics to be debated as sort of pillars for the description, definition of smart communities as an instrument to achieve the European decade, or at least the digital decade. So I see now we have Miguel Varela with us. Miguel Varela is director of ISG. ISG is a business school in Lisbon. Lisbon is known by the high quality of its business school, so that's a hub of business knowledge, intelligence, and one of the concerns of ISG is indeed the innovation, the business models for innovative activities, and in media it's one of the areas. ISG is one of the most dynamic. So we are very glad and honored to have Miguel Varela addressing the summit and recording his presentation and also contributing to the final document. So I just have to thank you, Eunice, apologize for all the media problems I had from my side, and yeah, so feel free to stay with us if you have time. If not, you are free because you had already are part of the debate. So thank you so much, Eunice. And Miguel, please, the stage is yours.
Okay. Hello. First, I want to apologize because I entered this meeting in this conference a little bit later that I was expecting to do, but I've been told that it was 3 p.m. and not 2 p.m. So there was this mistake, and I'm sorry for that. First, I want to thank you all for the invitation to be here to speak about digital media and to present my compliments to the other speakers of this conference. I have prepared a small presentation that I'm going to share with you. It has about 10 minutes, so with some topics that I think it's are pertinent for us to speak about and to discuss some ideas about the digital media. And I chose to speak about the media when I was making some research about digital media. I found so many things that I had the problem to become it a little smaller that I was expecting to do because it was so much information that it has been a very hard task to compress all that information. So I'm going to share my presentation with you. Let me see. Okay. It's this one. Okay. Be sure that this is okay. Okay. I don't know if you all can see the presentation. Yes. Okay. It's visible for all of you. Okay.
Perfect, Professor.
Okay. I chose to speak about this subject of media, of digital media, concerning my main research about marketing and about communication, and I chose to begin with this concept of communication and marketing about digital media and the importance it has nowadays in the world and in Portugal, with some figures, some data about our country and about Europe also. The mix of communication for the persons that study marketing was traditional. These schematics that I'm showing, it was the advertising, as we know it, the media, TV, radio, press, outdoor, cinema, internet. It's the typical and the traditional advertising that the marketeers called above the line, because the line represents the budget of the advertisers, and the above line was more expensive than the below the line, that are all the others: merchandising, promotions, public relations, sponsoring, direct marketing, and sales was considered below the line because they don't reach so many people, and because of that they are cheaper. And the advertising had about 80% of the total budget of the investments in communication, traditional in Portugal and all around the world. This is the traditional vision, but nowadays, because of the importance of the digital in marketing, we used to split this the media like this: the media that allows the indirect contact with mass communication, like the outdoors, the press, the promotions, the sponsorship, radio, TV, the points of sale. This was supposed to be the indirect message because it was a mass communication, that it was equal to everybody that see the message. Nowadays, we divide it between indirect and direct, not above and below the line, because there's much important. We give more importance to the communication that allows the customization with the consumer. So we use web and emails, the short message service, the point of sale, retail, the call centers, direct mail, so that we can reach specifically the target we want, and to personalize or customize our communication. And humankind has changed a lot in the past 2,000 years. Humankind depended 2,000 years of the agriculture, and then we depended about 200 years of the industry, the industrial revolutions 2 centuries ago, and now we are designing a new concept of a new social organization, a digital organization, that has changed a lot in the past 50 years. The economical system, the social system, the family system, the technological system, and of course, information and communications are completely different from the industrial civilization that ended in the 80s or in the 90s of last century. And in marketing, we can split the analogical society to digital society like this. Used to treat the customer or the client as with segmentations and with positioning, and we used to consider it an average consumer. Now we care about the individual, and we know that it's important to design the individual profile of each consumer. The product that was standard, now it's a consumer tailored offer. We now have prosumers that are consumers that indirectly design the concept they want to buy with the suppliers. The mass distribution, now it's individualized distribution. The mass advertising became the individualized message. One-way communication to the interactivity, it's very important that the consumer is not a passive member of this circuit. It must be a direct participator of this communication. So interactivity is very important. Market share is no longer important. It's the customer share that is important for us. How many customers we have, not how many revenues we have. It's more important the number of clients. All consumers become important now. The profitable consumers. There are several models in management to differentiate the kind of consumers, and it's more important to keep consumers. It's called the LTV, the lifetime value of the customers and consumers. It's more important to conquer new customers or consumers. In terms of figures and data, there are in Portugal 8.5 million internet regular users. It's data from January of this year, and it represents about 84.2% of the general population of Portugal. That it's about 10.2 million, and 97.8% of the population from 13 to 64 years old uses in a regular basis the internet. So it's in the I believe in 20-25 years in the past, I believe 99% are using internet in Portugal nowadays. It has been a great rhythm of growing users in Portugal. And there was 7.8 million social media users in Portugal, in Facebook, Instagram, and other social media in January. There were this is a number that is it's very curious. I'm speaking about 15 million mobile connections in Portugal in January. It means 1.6 per capita of mobile phones. In 12 years, the communications, mobile communications, reaches 138% penetration rate, while traditional phone, the fixed phone in Portugal, took almost half a century to reach 44% of the Portuguese homes covered. It's amazing this growing of the mobile communications in 12 years. More than we have a population of 10.2, and there are 15.8 million mobile phones active in Portugal. The main reasons in Portugal to access the internet is seeking information of any kind of information. Another reason is social media, education for the students that are reaching or seeking for information or taking online courses. Another important reason of 72% of the person that use internet is to watch movies, to listen to music, to entertainment like games. And the other reason, services, general service, banking, healthcare, public taxation. We have an extraordinary model of public service in the internet nowadays, and almost everybody access this kind of service. One of this good example is the census 2021 that are in course now in this month, and almost 90% of the population are responded by internet. It's quite different from 10 years ago that we collect data in paper. It's completely different. Another reason to access the internet is shopping, the market. 66% of the population to sell and 88% of the population to buy. There are more buyers than sellers in the internet these days. How many time the people spend in media? Internet, as you see, is the first per day. In average, people in Portugal spend about 7 hours a day. It's a long time. 7 hours a day in the internet. And the second media of importance in this scale is TV, about almost 3 hours a day, 2 hours and 56 minutes. It's very curious, this figure, because 10 years ago it was the opposite. The main media was TV, and people in Portugal watch TV about 5 hours, almost 5 hours. It was more specifically 4 hours and a half per day watching TV. Now, internet became the first media in terms of audience and share. Another important data, it's how do people in Portugal access the internet? And the big majority, it's in this computer, the laptops or desktops. About 62.5% of the person that access internet, it's by the computer. And in second place, by the mobile phone, about 35.2%. That's the way people use in Portugal to access the internet. In terms of marketing and advertising, you can see in this chart with predictions until 2023. It's the total investment in digital ads, and as you can see, it's the majority of the investment of in advertising nowadays is in digital ads. We are speaking in the 2021 about $435.83 billion of investment in the digital ads. Digital ads includes TV, includes YouTube, includes Facebook, includes apps, includes everything about digital. You can also see these two charts that I think it's important because it's not an European reality. It's all around the world. Countries that will eat at least 50% digital ad spending in last year, 2019. China, including China, has more than half the investments in communication in the ads spent in digital way. United Kingdom, Norway, Ireland, Denmark, Sweden, all of them are about half the investment of the all investment in communication. Do marketers worldwide describe their marketing cross-channel coordination? Websites, mobile apps, social advertising, video advertising, social publishing, email, mobile messaging. So these are the new forms of communication. It happened very, very quickly in the past 10 years. The reality changed a lot. And in conclusion, we can say that when we plan communication and marketing communication, we must evaluate the media plan because in the past, the metrics were based in potential audience because we didn't know how many people would see the advertising in TV, but with the digital media, we can know for sure the effective audience of the several supports. Nowadays, the corporations are interested in the feedback, rentability, and the revenues of advertising instruments. That is why investments in direct and digital instruments are increasing, because it's easier to quantify the return on investment based on effective audience. We know how many clicks in the site, how many people saw a movie in YouTube or in the Facebook, how many people have clicked, and I can measure the return of investment when I spend 1 million, 2 million euros or dollars in communication. The cost of each contact, each people I reach, is higher, which means that it's more efficient, but the total budget is lower because it's cheaper to make publicity and to make communication in digital media than in traditional media. So above and below the line is no longer valid as a classification. So digital, it's easier, it's cheaper, it's smaller, it's duplicable, and analogic is not duplicable. It allows multiple formats and does not affect the traditional media methodology or format. So what does this mean? You can still have a newspaper, you can still have a TV channel, but the transformation is only digital. It means that I can watch TV in new media, I can read a newspaper in the new media without affecting the traditional methodology or formats of the journalist. So I think it's very important, all these changes, and it's due fundamentally because of the new generations. We have also people with 70 and 80 years old using the internet, but the new generations doesn't watch so much TV, doesn't read newspapers. It's only the internet, the mobile phone, and the future in the next 10 years, it will change a lot, and digital will become a new year of communication. So I have prepared these presentations with the intention to make some topics and to discuss anything you would like. With I hope that it has been useful for you. That was my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Professor. It was impressive and impressing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and surprising. I could say that. Yeah, that's really interesting to have those metrics and to assess how overwhelming is the impact of any change in media relating to the way the community performs and what we can deliver and so on. So that's really super interesting. As here I'm trying to help Monica moderating this table, but nevertheless it's on me organizing this summit. And it was one of my first ideas, was indeed to have ISG in the summit intervening and being part of this. So thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you.
Let me just to help a little bit the debate, let me just bring to you some episode that happened yesterday. That I had a press conference because together with the president of Alentejo and our vice president Carmen Carvalheiro, we had to introduce the summit to journalists, which is always an exercise of some degree of, how you'd say, some. It may always be surprising because journalists are there to ask questions and typically to ask difficult questions. Could it be about Auroral, H2020 Auroral project we are coordinating, or could it be about the summit itself or about the topic? And finally, the press conference turned into a meeting where all the media were saying, oh, we have to work together in order to play a stronger role in our communities, just because you are talking about smart communities. And indeed, we see as part of it. So it was so funny that because finally the press conference turned into a meeting where we were discussing how can we cooperate in future. And that is really a sign also from the side of the media. They see the interaction, or they see the interrelation between the process transforming communities into smarter communities, and the process of transforming their roles into new roles on those smart communities, and indeed helping those smaller communities, when it is the case, or less dense communities, to become also sustainable, and also to be part of better use of time and infrastructure by developing contents. And so it was an interesting episode. I was kind of prepared for questions, but finally it turned to be to collaboration between both parties. But yeah, so that's very much about the strength and the sheerness of the figures you were presenting. I don't know if there is any questions, or Monica, do you have any comment? Monica is our artistic director for this event, so it's also someone who is very sensitive to the aspects related to media.
Of course.
So some points, Monica?
No, yes, as being more related to the arts, all this always seems to me coming really from a future that I didn't expect to see reality so soon. So everything for me is so, I don't know, overwhelming, like the examples that Eunice was telling this presentation now, and it seems like the future, it's I don't know, I think I was expecting this future a little bit more in the future, but it's really nice to see how the society itself is prepared, and how this crisis came to give a boost, and came to bring people to this new reality. And it was really enlightening to see all these presentations. But we still have one presentation, no, Marcos? It's still missing.
Yes, we are.
We still have one presentation
because we are doing the comments between the presentations. Anyway, it's indeed, that's a fact that everything is accelerating. So that's very important to have high-level research groups and also business knowledge working on these topics, and we could have a little bit of that those two aspects. And now we have with us Vitor Pereira. Vitor Pereira is a leading, inspiring figure in the smart cities and communities Horizon and Panorama in Portugal. And Vitor Pereira is leading the Zoom Global Smart City Association, which is so that's you are always a little bit more in advance to your time. So please help us making some sense from all this progress we are discussing today on media sector. Vitor, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marcos, and it's a great pleasure to be here and share with you all. I don't know if you are listening to me because
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Okay, good.
And if you need to share presentation.
Yes, I will share because I didn't normally I don't prepare something deep with numbers with too many slides. So I will share some images. I'm really pleased and honored because Marcos and we are discussing a lot of smart cities issues since a long time ago, and right now everything is a little bit confused. So I think media and communication, and not only media and communication, and my presentation will be focused a little bit also in creativeness and artist profiles. So basically, that's what I'm going to present something with a use case like Bragança, which is my hometown. So basically, let me share my presentation and see if the slides can be better work than my mouth. Okay, so you can see the slides now.
Yes, we are seeing the slides.
Yeah, everything is good.
Yes.
So, okay, so I'm using since 2014, 15, this hashtag is nothing. I love the Clash band. It's like one of my favorite bands. They are the heritage Sex Pistols and the punk, and it's like always protesting, always trying to change things, and always actually the clash. That's what makes the society drive society innovation, and everything starts with a clash. It's like, oh, I'm seeing this, but actually there's something more further. So you clash with the actual opinions, you clash with the actual status, we clash with the status quo. So I believe the city itself is a permanent clash between strong and strength and forces pulling from one side to another. And this is what makes so amazing for human beings to live in society. So, of course, I don't see, I don't have an environment where we can be human beings with our faults, with our goods, and with our genius or whatever we can have. So basically, this kind of the clash I'm feeling for a long time. I worked more than 25 years as a journalist. So I worked mostly in a small town, in a small city, basically in the far away from everything. The city of Bragança is like a Alentejo region, very, very low populated and peripheric, far from the big centers. So, but the only difference, we are in the northeast of Portugal. So why I quit journalism? One of the reasons I quit journalism, because I was totally frustrated of how the media treats inland and small cities and small regions or far away distant regions. So basically everything that goes further than our own center of the decision and policy making is already like a fatty bear, right? It's like with of course, with very few honorable exceptions, the media, I'm talking traditional media, I'm not talking about social media in this case. The media, they treat these cities, these kind of places as a fait divers, you know, like something happened there. It has to be not because of the content of which can be valued content, but because it's something it's happening there. Why it's happening there? It's like, wow, this small city created this event there, and I will explain a little bit more how it comes. So basically, I like to watch something weird. They see in Lisbon, in Portuguese case, they see everything like weird or something not natural. And that is the reason, in my opinion, we don't have more development in our countries inland. We have a big problem right now in Portugal with a big division between seaside urban tissue and inland urban tissue. So rural and urban. So basically, I believe media has a big role on this. Even though things change a little bit for better, they still have quite some issues connected with it. So Bragança is a small peripheric region, not small in size, but it's very big. Actually, it's very a lot of square kilometers. But it's small in population in the region of northeast of Portugal. It's closer to Madrid than to Lisbon. Okay, we take like an extra hour to drive to Lisbon than we take to drive to Madrid. So when we launched the one event, it's called Smart Travel Event back in 2014, in that remote region, I was not expecting great changes to happen, though I knew that only planting seeds, we can see trees growing. So basically I was, okay, we have this idea to create a momentum, something different that never was organized in Portugal. And let's try to organize it in Bragança. And so it happened. The event became more than an event. It became a tool to open up small town, small city psyche, you know, this kind of perspective from small cities. and disrupt through example, self-proud and respect. So basically, you give these tools to this city that was working on their own strategy, but we gave it an international event that gathered top international experts, researchers, elected, and companies from topics of tourism, technology, urbanism, and smart cities. So these sectors that at that time were not dialoguing between them, they were a little bit disconnected. Smart tourism and smart cities, they were like different kind of events and different kind of topics. But for me, it was obvious that tourism and smart cities should be connected. The conversation should be the same because everything is upon the city, upon the municipal level. So in fact, the industries are totally different, and there are some city departments and political leaders responsible for each sector, but we own the responsibility to put everything in the same tune, and not only tourism and technology, but also aspects for urban life. So we must not forget how complicated it is to be different, how to be different in a small community. We may all have experienced stigma, incomprehension, xenophobia, inclusive, and segregation for the only simple reason that we couldn't fit to the norm. At some point, these may well have been the new revolutionaries. Actually, these people that were not accepted in their own communities could be the visionaries and revolutionaries that flooded cities in the 20th century around the world with art, feelings, music, life, and humanism. So rebels, misfits without any cause except to be themselves. So this is what I call, this is why I relate with the art and with the modern and postmodern. So in 2014, in the small city of Bragança, far away from the big centers, big city in many aspects, this became aware of something that could work if lights were turned to the right direction. So every city can do more about it. Bragança did. The acceptance the phenomena launched the creative movement in all sectors, from municipality to schools, from business to culture. So since 2014, the city started organizing. We organized the first one, the first the first street art installations. I have one in my background. It's from Bordalo Segundo. So this is what we bring there in 2014. We bring two artists, and they started some movement. After that, in 2015, the municipality created the Street Art Festival with its own life. So right now, Bragança is full of art and street art and other cultural and artistic events, mixing the local artists and creatives with guests. But that is just a tiny fraction of a creative pulse. To become a trend, it may not be enough, because this is a reaction. Cities need to act more than react, need to do more than copy. And this is itself a creative process. So basically, it doesn't matter if we create an artificial situation where we figure out how to bring artists and how to bring music, how to bring festivals. It's like something package industrial thing, and it's not connected to the DNA of their own population, their own community. So basically, this is a secret of how cities can move on from something that they are based in, and they can move a little bit further. But why this momentum didn't catch the attention of the national media? This is my biggest question. So we created a big movement for smart cities in Portugal, starting from Bragança. But the national media, they just get into the small details of a fair situation. So that's why I'm sorry, Marcus, because you have to deal with the local media, and I'm totally supporting the local media. But actually, local media did more to the community than the national media did to the community, to this kind of movement. The difference are the national just focus on Bragança is organizing an event, and the local, they step into the content itself. They start listening to the content, and the media, the news were not about Bragança is organizing an event or the region is organizing an international event, but actually about the content of the event. So this changed everything, because that's where the information flows between the leaders and politicians and the people will power that have the chance to listen to something and say, oh, this is really interesting. We can really take over this discussion and make something new from starting from this point. But actually, was a local movement, not a national. And I believe this makes all the difference when we talk about media and in the context of smart cities. So we are discussing important and disruptive topics in this world. So the next year, after 2014, for example, just to make sure that you understand what we were discussing, in 2015, the Barcelona Expo brought the same topics because the city, Barcelona, was already being overwhelmed with over-tourism, clashing with the neighbors. Actually, they lost elections. The mayor of the smartest city in the world lost elections in 2015. So this was the really huge, big topic, smart tourism and smart cities in how to manage all these situations and how to create a strategy to make everything flow in a sustainable way. So nowadays, everything is global and connected. So we have all the tools and all we need is courage to deploy and fight the status quo. Cities are not all the same. They are an infinite canvas in continuous fractal growth and development. So smart cities industry tried to sell. Sorry, I'm moving forward some slides, but I give you some examples of what is understandable of big cities that are recognized as the big smart cities and big examples of modernity, innovation, and so on. But actually, the smart cities industry tried to sell services and products to the cities like it was enough to be to make them smart. And some cities bought these services and products, but the results in most of the cases didn't correspond to the expectations because at the end, they didn't manage to communicate it well, or they didn't manage to understand it well. So even though these two situations are related, if you don't understand it, you cannot communicate it. So this is the biggest problem with a national journalists. They are focused in one message, that what they want to sell audience to the national network, but they don't care to understand what is going on. So basically, the communication continues in the superficial layers of the content. They don't need to care too much about understanding, going deeper in the conversation. So at the end, it's just technology products, and cities need more than that. Basically, now we are stalled. Nothing moves forward because there's no financial models to deploy in large scale, and nothing is invented or disrupted because of fear of consequences of losing political power. And smart cities can be now considered, if they started 15 years ago being something totally technology driven and digital and something disrupting this kind of technology, right now they are more like a social and philosophical and political movement. And more than a movement, they are also a tool to make a better world for citizens. Smart cities are not the soil for industry and corporations to extract and make everything apparently innovative and modern. Definitely, this idea, we need to cancel it. I know this is a big bad word right now. Everyone is canceling. Everything is like a cancel movement, or whatever. I don't care about it. It's like what needs to be done right needs to be done right. So it's not possible that this image of a central technology interface in Rio de Janeiro cost millions. And it's not possible that we understand this is a smart city, when you see the same city having so many problems, so many human challenges, and they are not solving them. So basically, they put this technology in system to solve some problems, but actually the problems keep going. And this was launched in 2016, I believe, for the Rio Olympic Games. So we have a big responsibility for the future. And the only way to win the battle against totalitarianism, obscurantism, is bringing light to the creative hearts that are everywhere in this world. So the ones who are not being listening and cared by their own families and by their own neighbors. That's when this is important for communities. If they not nourish their own thinkers and the people that have different thoughts and different views, different perspectives of reality, they will fail. So we may have to fight for them in the future. So because it's our sons and daughters, because by inspiration, by sharing, by caring, they can always start this creative movement, and ultimately they become actors for a better future. So you may have to fight for them in the future. For my perspective is clear: technology and digital world are an important part. It's not possible to skip it anymore of the creation, and inevitable by now for many artists and performers. It started with the media also. It's not what became the social media, what became the digital online media. It's also an alternative. We are seeing this now with the digital arts, with NFCs, with the kind of tools to certify that this kind of rights, creative arts rights are kept and safe. So, but it can become only the world we know from now on. So, passionate people for their own and others' creations is the fuel to the fire that I believe it's possible to start in each community, in each village, and all the places where people gather, socialize, talk, and debate. Wow, right now it's complicated to do all this, but unfortunately, it's and also, even if we could do it right now, if we go back to 2019, it was not easy task in some cases. Okay, so we have to create this kind of atmosphere where ideas thrive and people can be creative, writing, promoting some business, or do whatever. But if the process if in the process some of the talents rise above and become themselves energy and inspiration to others, the world will become better. Even if creation itself, as we know, sometimes or most of the times, is painful, is a suffering process. But the relief of being will come eventually, and like Philosopher's Stone, everything can become clear. So this path of the new media and communication platforms for cities, stripping out from central media governance, can be the step out for the shadows that many cities need right now. We are in the disruptive momentum. Right now, we cannot continue making everything global. We cannot continue trying to replicate every solution to every cities. If we this is not. We already know that this recipe didn't work in the last 10 years. So in the last 12 years, we are going into the events, Smart City Expo, Barcelona, whatever. All the people go there every year, but we still don't see our cities buying that technology there. So basically, we need something else. We need to step out of the shadows that many cities need right now. Is like promote themselves as outsiders and alternatives to a world more and more equal and run by, they are not run by monotony or hypnotic messages. So basically, this is the right time to do it. And as far as my concern, as far as I am working in these subjects, do it actually is the easiest part of the process, because when you do it, you already decided to do it. But the convincing of the decision maker is the worst and more complex part of the process. And this is something that you only work with better education, better information, and better communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Vitor. Oh, amazing presenter. Let me share with you all a small anecdote with that during all the process that actually took more or less 6 months of organizing this summit. I was discussing with my colleague Camila Olszewicz about invitees for this table, and we were, as I said, thinking about Vitor and planning to invite Vitor. Vitor kindly, very kindly accepted. And indeed, Camila was asking me, yes, but how should we name Vitor in the agenda? Is CEO or director, executive director or some? And I said, oh, just name him as Inspirer. And so finally, Vitor is on the agenda as Inspirer. And you inspired us with your presentation. So I hope don't take badly, because of course you are the leading figure for Zoom Smart City, and also for and you founded Smart City Journal, which is the magazine, which is the media partner for this summit. So thank you, but just sharing the little anecdote about Vitor Pereira, the inspirer for this sector in Portugal. And you are fully right. Just to share it about what you said on the regional media. It's really important to pay attention, to support, to work with the local media. Sometimes, very often, they do much better on the understanding and explanation of the topics than the national media. In Alentejo, and that's a reality I should be aware of. I'm the permanent representative to the EU, the regional diplomat for Alentejo. But in Alentejo, we have around 60 media outlets, among radio, digital, newspapers, and so that's such a lively fabric of interconnecting the community, and really that's really extremely important to keep it alive and to keep it supported. And I'm very thankful to know that some of those local and regional media are also online following the event and hopefully contributing to the content. So I don't know if among the speakers there are some cross questions that you could ask to each other. So Eunice, I don't know if some comment about Professor Miguel Varela's presentation or Vitor Pereira presentation, or some additional comment from your perspective, if you have something to say. So
yes, maybe of course for Professor Miguel Varela, I could ask him. I saw maybe it's not the mathematical expression to say it, but looking at your metrics that you have presented, I felt like it's an exponential evolution in terms of the digital metrics in Portugal. So having in mind the acceleration that we just faced with COVID, and how the Next Generation EU funds are going to promote this even further, and to start maybe even deployment phases of new technologies, like for example, reinforcement of 5G or others that are very high in the agenda of the European Commission. How do you see their influence in these metrics in the near future? I would say maybe 2-3 years, just as a challenge.
Okay, I don't know if I can answer right now, or Marcos, I don't know if
Yes, please.
should I okay. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you, Luis,
go on.
for your question. In fact, it's amazing the rhythm of transformation that we are living since 200 years ago. But in the past 10, 15, maybe at the most 20 years, the rhythm has accelerated itself. And we don't know yet how to design a model of this new society that is emerging. Some people call it the globalization. Some call it the third industrial revolution. Some call it the information society. There are so many names for a concept that it's not well designed yet. And since the last census, that was made in Portugal in 2011, from this new data of 2021, there are so many differences in the way we live, the economical structure of our country, the structure of family itself. It has changed a lot, and the new generations are responsible for that, because it's a digital generation that will accelerate even more in the next 2, 3, 4 years, the digital revolution and all the media and the way we deal with each other, the media, the social relations. It will change a lot in the future, in the near future, because as I said in my presentation, mankind has changed a lot in 2 centuries, from the industrial revolution until now, but it took 2 centuries, and now it may be enough to pass 10 years to change all the configuration of society. So the rhythm is it's frightening. It's frightening because it's not only the digital, it's all the technological issues, not only digital, that are changing. The world is more accelerated in any ways. And so we are expecting to be able to design this new society that is emerging. Even in it's important to say, because I believe that globalization, a global society, I don't know what kind of links can have with the local marketing and the smart cities, because a city is a small reality when we compare it to the world as a society itself. So there are many things to study, to understand, and all the years from now until 2030 will be fantastic to see what is going to happen. Okay. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Professor, and indeed, thank you also for making again making the point for this European decade, because that's on formal terms, that's the digital decade, but that's much more than that, because there are so many critical agendas in Europe for these 10 years. That's the European decade. We can't fail it. We have to succeed. So that's indeed why this period until 2030, let's put it as a threshold, it's really a critical one. So I don't know if among the audience sharing the Zoom meeting, so we have also the online audience, if there are some additional remarks or questions on this critical topic. Media, it's absolutely critical for the vitality of our smart cities and communities. So, and also we have, as I said, we have 2 rapporteurs, so Patricia and Valentina. I don't know if Patricia, there are some specific questions that from CCDR the leading partner of our project may be to be put on the table. So Patricia, please help me.
Thank you, Marcus. Well, I was very glad to be here. I was very honored to be invited to be here, and especially in this table. I want to thank all the presentations, but of course, being someone who loves arts and disruptive ways, well, I like it very much. It's a very inspired presentation from Vitor Pereira, and as he is in a small town of Portugal, how do you think in the future how media can help not only bring some technology and devices and making Bragança as a smart city, but preserving identities and some points that make Bragança different from every towns in Portugal and in other places.
Thank you.
Peter,
Thank you. I didn't get you, the name. Patricia. Okay, yes. I see. Thank you, Patricia. It was not my intention to inspire. My intention is to share, and sometimes my sharings are not very well accepted. So let's say there are some people that don't accept very well the idea that media can be criticized, the national media, even the local media. So this is like a permanent learning from each other. When someone starts learning, everything stops. So I believe this is the biggest problem we have, the biggest challenge we have in the future years. I'm not in Bragança anymore. I left Bragança. I left Bragança 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But in the meantime, we continue with the event Smart Travel, and we continue the project for Bragança Smart City. And actually, the Smart Travel event started exactly with this purpose of because you have to go back to 2014 when a boom of tourism and people flowing and flooding the cities and the main destinations. And then there was these small destinations, these small cities, they were not taking advantage of it because first they were far from transportation, they were far from airports, they were far from trains, they don't have any accessible means to get there. So the alternative is that, okay, why we need to flood these small cities, these small regions, these exclusive regions? They are very well preserved. They keep the traditions, they keep the culture, they keep everything in an ancient way. So basically, this is their heritage. They can sell out. But why they need to sell out to big numbers? Why we need to flood Bragança with millions of people? Bragança or Alentejo or any other region, small city. That's not the market. The market has to be driven to people that want to have this experience. And this is very small number. What we have is a problem with numbers. Okay, I'm going to be politically incorrect right now, so excuse me, but some politicians have a big problem with numbers. They don't like small numbers. So basically, all the politicians or mayors, well, let's talk about mayors. They only see the numbers of visitors. How many people visit their own destination? If a mayor says, a mayor of, let's say, Redondo, okay, to keep in Alentejo, If a mayor says, we have a visit of five people this week, he cannot say this to the population because he thinks this is a bad message. But if he transforms these 5 in a different number, which is the value that these 5 left in the city, in the village or in the town, like you can bring 5,000 and they leave 1 million euro in the town. You can leave 5 and they leave the same 1 million euro in the town. So this is a total different number that mayors need to take in consideration, because this is what created this unsustainable situation we were living. Right now we are not living, actually. So basically we stopped living in 2020 and we will try to recover. And this return to normal situation, the normality, people will consider that the quantity is not the biggest number they need to show off anymore in communication. We are talking about communication, basically, right? When you see the newspapers, you see the TV openings, it's like, I don't know how many people visit, I don't know how many people went to bought. There was this guy, it was the CTO of Twitter. He put in 2015, he tweet one interesting sentence, and it became like a screenshot for a lot of this conversation. He tweeted like this: 1 million people entered the bar and didn't buy nothing. It was considered a huge success. So this is like, what the hell? It was like everything was about the quantity of people that goes into, not the amount of business and value that creates these visits. So basically, it was saying it doesn't matter, that what matters is how we communicate. The bar got 1 million people visits. No one bought nothing. So the bar didn't win nothing. What did he get? He got visibility, he got image, he got media attention, he got communication. So a lot of cities are doing this trick. This is tricky because basically there will be a time that people will start checking and seeing that, okay, we have a lot of people, but there's no value. The unemployment is still going down, up. The business are very bad. People are not, there's no progress, there's no economy development, there's no value. So when people, this is something very bad to check in a real time, because this takes at least 2 decades to analyze. And because we are living in the instant, immediate media attention, everything has to be in the same second that it happens, or in the same minute, or in the same 10 minutes, or the same hour. So we don't have the time to prepare the right strategy for create value for communities. So we need to pay attention to this. This is one of the works we are doing with our association. We try to focus on value. Doesn't matter if it takes 10 years, 5 years, 4 years, at least is the election time period, whatever. We have to make sure that people understand that it doesn't matter that you marketing too much, you promote too much, you put a lot of media attention on this. This is just flowers, and flowers die, as we all know. Perish, to say another word.
I think we could stay here discussing all afternoon.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that, and we are supposed to close the table around 4 o'clock Western European time, 5 o'clock Central European time. So like just to go again around the table and check for some final remarks. And if there are no additional remarks, we could leave it to our rapporteurs to do their job. And I may have also some small announcements to do about the rest of the event. So I don't know if some additional final remark, question, or comment, please.
Well, I would just
If not, I have to.
I would just say one thing, and I would like to thank Victor because it's always needs some courage to be out of the box, and thank you for that because it's not easy, and it's really nice to have always someone that is pulling out the questions that are hard or that are not always in the in the top of the priorities. So thank you for that.
Yes, indeed. Also, thank you. That's I missed the point, but that's really okay. It's the role of an inspirer. Anyway, yeah. So let me go to the announcements. So we have Friday the president of Committee of Regions, an event for regions to do more together to achieve the European decade, and we see smart communities. Could I say smart cities and communities? Why not? Victor is here. So we see smart cities and communities as instrumental to achieve the digital decade. We see it as also as a domain in which regions can cooperate to do more together and to share joint solutions, scaling up solutions to face the common challenges, to respond to the common challenges. In Alentejo, we know it very well because it's very often we need more scale. So that's why we are always so keen and willing to be a front runner for European cooperation. And so that's Friday. We are also having the member of European Parliament, Maria da Graça Carvalho. Maria da Graça Carvalho is also from Alentejo. Is one of the most influential members of the European Parliament. So that's a privilege, that's an honor to have her. She's going to close the event Friday after some presidents of other regions couldn't host all the presidents of the regions Alentejo and Aurora are working with, but we have a little assortment, so some geographic balance and all those things, but that's very interesting opportunity to follow what other regions may have to say about their ecosystems, their policies, and their leadership. Thursday, we have the ministerial session. This is Portuguese presidency event, so that's there is an opportunity for two ministers from the Portuguese government to the point about the priorities for the Portuguese European presidency. Before that high-level session, we are going to have another high-level session with representatives from the recent European presidencies. I think that's a very important point to make clear that we are keen on continuity, on supporting that continuity of political agendas and achievements from the several presidencies. So that's why we are going to have the ambassador, the Kleber one, so the representative to the European Union, member of the European Council, the ambassador of Armenia, the representative of the federal minister for cities and a lot of other things, but he is the general director for cities of the federal German ministry. Also a representative from the permanent representation of Germany in Brussels. The same for Finland. We have Marko Markula, one of the most prominent European politicians. He used to be for a long time used to be president of the European Committee of Regions. So that's really a privilege to have Marko Markula as one of our speakers. And also a general director from the European Commission, which is important because it's going to be an opportunity for the European Commission to make some political points to use our event to promote and announce political points for the digital decade. So this is also, I would say, an opportunity to get to. It is the result of the influence that Alentejo is having in the European arena and the European landscape. That's important. So that's also an opportunity to reaffirm that availability for cooperation from our region. Before those high-level sessions, we have a session with mayors, and as Vitor was saying, that's yeah, the role of mayors is absolutely critical. They are the ones that are directly elected by the people, and they are walking on the street together with people. So they are really in the front runner of the right decisions to be made. So that's very important to work with mayors. We have the privilege of having with us an excellent, very diverse panel of mayors. We have the youngest mayor in Europe. That's a Slovakian lady mayor with 20. So she's 25 years old. So with the record of some important changes in her city. So we are very, very proud of having her. And also we have the head of unit for the technologies for smart communities from the European Commission. All of this Thursday, but also Thursday, we have the new European Bauhaus session of our event, which is a wonderful session with very, very interesting panel. And the new European Bauhaus is an interesting policy, not only because of the achievements and the targets and the final objectives, but because the process itself. So that's very important, the fact that the Commission and at the highest level is inviting European ecosystems, European clusters, European regions, European smart cities, I hope, to collaborate, to cooperate, and to co-design solutions together. And that critical idea, that key idea, that central idea of co-designing, it's very important for the European Bauhaus, and that's really inspiring. And that's why I say this is more about the process than the results. So let's enjoy the process. That's why we have this session about New European Bauhaus. Indeed, that's partially organized by our colleague Valentina Russo, who is also today with us as rapporteur. So let's enjoy that session for New European Bauhaus. I'm really expecting and keen about it. And tomorrow we are going to have the strategy session. That's the moment for all the representatives from the main European networks, so Eurocities, the European Innovation Partnership for Smart Cities, and so on, to have all those networks with us, giving or bringing their contribution for the strategy we may have to come with to face all those challenges of the European decade, using smart communities as a driver or an instrument. So that's the program for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for this summit. I hope it works. So I hope you enjoy. And we had this Sunday evening, I had the figures for the online dissemination of the event. So on social media, we reached more or less 1.5 million people with the post. So I hope we are having in total for all the event, perhaps more on the online high-level sessions, I would say around 25,000 people as online audience. So that's why we are so keen on having these sessions at this so interesting high level as we are having today for this smart media session. So again, I have to thank and also to open floor to everybody to say goodbye and thank to each other, and just to wish that next year we can be here again with new ideas, continuing this process of innovating and co-creating for smart cities and communities. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice evening.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.